Much like the speaker collective, we have personalities expressed, personas found, things of not timed nature. You guys have dependencies on time. You want things to be stable, complete, finite, tides off, loose end closures, so you can find yourself in a comfortable zone, because what have you been taught? That you need to get through life. Life is about getting through. Life is never about experiencing. Life is an eternal preparation. This is what time does to you. We're going to hammer you on time, because all you do is time yourself. Time, 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 time. What time? What time? Got time. I'm out of time. Time. It runs you. You must see that. But you must understand the equation of time, the mathematics of time, the giver of time, the enhancer of time, the birther, the mother, the father of time. You. Time does not sit stagnant in the universe. The universe is completely. Now remember, Kristen, remember this too, since you're a newbie. Everything is your point of view. If it's your truth, it's there. If it's not, it's not. The neutral universe gives you what the hell you want to do with it. All the time. Okay. So the permanency of time has become literature in your life. It's become an archaic way to live by the novels of your own discrepancies of time, where you measure points of time in the polarity field. So they go together hand in hand. They're fork and spoon, salt and pepper, peas and carrots, whatever they are to you. That time with polarity works in a symbiotic relation to give you a unique experience that you can call yours. You can't call it anyone else's, because that would be an obtuse lie. That would be a lie to yourself, that everyone or anyone or anything has the same experience you do. Impossible. Can't be the same. It's just not. You can see that because you have what? Proof of it. When you argue, when you discrepancy, when you have versions. And by the way, a little side note, all of creation and polarity, when they're grouped together, the group will divide, much like a cell. It'll divide again, much like a cell, and it'll divide again, and much like a cell, and it'll keep dividing itself until there is no one left to energize that circuitry, that life, that division. That kind of idea. It's very exciting what you guys are cusping on. So let's get back to the idea of time. The circuitry of time allows you to travel with a non-polarized point of view. Your entire life is an approach to life. How you believe yourself to be in accordance with that becomes your stimuli. Whatever that is. Someone says, oh, this is this, and you're like, oh my God, you're right. And then you're on board with that, and then you get the emotional equation, and you feel like a train wreck, you feel this, you feel that, and then your mind goes into a frenzy on how to fix this, work at that, do that, make it better, and then you're right back into your norm of polarity and running that life with the vitality since you got here. And you keep doing, and you keep chugging along, and you just don't know how to look away. But you do. The now takes you anywhere you want to go. So, in the democracy of humanity, in the domain of the teachers that are about you in every fashion that you can imagine, we have offered this idea, new way to create or co-create with reality called the circuitry of time. It's a connection between nows. So again, you guys that watched the class from earlier today are an experience right now of the memory of that. The ones that you participated in the class, today's 11 a.m. central class is now a memory. So from this point of view, and when you were in the class, again, to reiterate, they're both now, right? Where you focus your conscience in reality on what's your highest value of truth becomes your reality. Either you're here or you're there. If you're there in the past, you're thinking about tonight's class and having this experience as a dream or something that's going to happen from the standpoint of that class. Now, if you were in this class present in the reality of the now, then that class that you were in time is happening is as a memory from this now, right? But they're both nows as a reminder, my friends. They're both nows. There's no differentiation except the circumferencing idea of where you put your focus, your realism, your reality, what is real. And since you have forgotten how to shift in the nows and locate yourself and shift time and put the element of time into the now to say, oh, today I'd like to be 1832, and poof, you're in 1832 because it's time. It's not even location. You don't even have to fuck around with location. You just go to time because wherever you are, time is only one piece of the element. You don't need the rest of the element because you're already in a location, right? So it's real easy. You don't need to go back to 1842 and travel somewhere because there's nowhere to travel. Ta-da! You're always in the now. And wherever you are is the here and the now. So if you're fine where you're at, doesn't matter the time. You just change your point of view and you become time. Great. So, in the idea of ascension, from the collective of mu, we were a part of your human civilization. We are a DNA strand that you would understand as, let's say, a periodical of humanity. It's an annex to humanity. It's another gene that wasn't present in yours, but we didn't have one of the genes that wasn't present that isn't in yours. We were, let's say, created out of a experiment that would give us a different genome. You know, you take the big mix, okay? Let's make a milkshake together. And you throw a little reptilian in there and a little Lemurian in there and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And you mix it all up and you come up with a species called Homo sapien. Well, take out of one of those elements and put a different species in there. That's what you are. So we had a different awareness of life. And it wasn't that of a physical attribute. We had the same Homo sapien skeleton, but what it was our relationship was a little bit more defined by a different emotion that's not present in your polarized field. So the way you feel about reality isn't the same way we experience. Therefore, we had what you would call literally an easier time. So our focus was not so much of time of accomplishment because we didn't have the ego to connect back. We felt more connected, so there was no lackful drive. There was more of an idea of an experiential inquisition of discovery of the self on this wonderful planet. That's why, let's say, our continent was quite separated from everyone else, and we left before trades lines were open with the Homo sapien of that you understand yourself as. But that's neither here nor there. But our collective has something to offer in the experience of that because we lived it. And whenever you talk from experience, it comes through as a higher quality. When you talk out of your ass, you know, the therapists around the world, the theories, that's when you get, let's say, hearsay, secondhand information. It's watered. The tail grows taller on down the line from REO Speedwagon. You know, it just gets a little bit more thicker with the bullshit in theory because it's not as concrete from something that says, I've lived this. And people know each other in that regard. They have looks, they have vibrations, they have connections. And you guys have experienced when someone else has walked the walk that you're walking and you feel a more of a bond. Well, of course, because you're on the what? What is it? Vibrational, same wavelength, right? You guys are matching vibrations. That's why the continuity of the moment is that much more cleaner because you're not muddling it up with the ideas of logistics or temperaments of research or the idea of accomplishment, for God's sake. Yeah, of course. So why are we here? Well, because it's the vibrational match of the now. With all interactions with humanity, as a vibrational choice, you get a field of probabilities. And that probabilities we all connected, and here we are. So the continent of mu is a civilization, and we're the collective of it. And we understood ourselves as what you would call not ascended in the way that you guys consider ascension, but more as we left. We understand that we could leave the planet, and we did. So we left, okay, not due to our technology, due to the interactions of our technology that gave us connections to the universe, and we found out we were one, but we weren't interested in becoming gods again. We remained the godly that we were, because we had a deeper sense of connection, back to the foresight we gave you earlier, or the foreshadowing was actually better. So, okay, so very good. So since we're here, being our idea with you, the circuitry of time is what we found would give you a benefit how to co-create your reality in a different way. Now, what we don't use here are tangibles. We're not going to create the things that make you yummy. We're not going to do that. Anything that has to do with measurement, polarity, anything better, anything freedom, anything resolving problems, anything, that's not what we're about. Because as long as you accept the reality as that truth, then that reality shall remain according to the law of vibration. But so since you are ready to leave the world of polarity, yet still exist in a polarized world, but your relationship is where polarity becomes in, everyone's truth creates polarity. In other words, it doesn't sit, as we said before, stagnant in time. It doesn't sit anywhere as a truth. It's always created by each subjective universe, you. Okay, so we thought this would be our best vibration in accordance with time to give you the elements of time. So we understand that time is an ally from this morning's class as well as the speakings from before. So this element of time, this attribute of time, allows you to travel from tomorrow to yesteryear to the next week, as well as all the parallel and peripheral times that you have, and every adjacent or concave or convex self that you have, wherever you imagine and how you can connect to it. This circuitry of time will give you, because all the elements of your capabilities of connecting with those people are going to have time in that attribute. Okay, you don't want to go to a non-time species because you don't understand the now and completion. What you are doing is evolving yourself, so you use what you have. You get to know the familiarity with what you've always known, but this time your relationship with that known idea is going to become beneficial of exploration instead of what time has been an ass kicker to you guys. That kind of idea. Again, everything is about relations. Hang on. Yes, good. Okay. As we said in the earlier class, circuitry of time is an emotional state of being. It's accessed by an emotional state of being. Now, we're going to give you some relevance on emotional state of being. All you know is measurement from the get-go. Being taught. When you got here, you didn't know. You cried because you were hungry. You didn't cry because you were in pain. That was the only way you got attention, was crying, but you weren't in pain. That was an instinct to let people around you know it's time for me to eat. You were taught pain. Okay? So from that foundation is where you guys are living your life. You guys subject yourself to the artistry that we'll repeat in this class, the artistry that we aforementioned. We have the arc of the now, and now we're going to give you the arc of polarity. So on one end of the arc, you have happy. Happy? Yeah, that's it, Roxy. And then you have suffer. Okay? Suffer is such a great word because your Bible just used it. We read your Bible, by the way, extraordinary material. You used it as such a way to get your lack on, huh? Your victimization, ways to conjure up your emotional strife So other may give you the compassion or pity. All right, so this arc right here, okay? So over here, you have this idea, happy, and then, of course, suffering. So we want you to go into this field. This field is how you operate. You were taught good, bad, and different. You were taught measurement. You were taught your hair is not good enough, you're not tall enough, you're short enough, you're fat, you're skinny, you should be this, your boobs aren't big enough, as Roxy always had a battle with apparently for a while there, your teeth aren't straight enough, and first all that of the looks. You weren't wearing the right clothes, and then you discovered you had categories of people. You had blacks and whites and Asians and cultures, and then you had to divide yourself, and then you were taught betterment and words for separation, okay? And then you had the idea of performance of smart and dumb, and then you instilled those into your children as well. And it's all just a mad cycle of humanity. But it's not maddening, it's what you know, so of course it's your life. Every single time you measure, this is it. There is no measurement anywhere in creation. Everything is the universe of what it is in the experiential now that is not measured in polarity. You guys measure. You find something important, you take away the purity over here. This is non-polarized. You make it polar because that's all you know. Okay? Again, Truman Show. He didn't know there was a world outside that because that's what he was born into. So he thought that was the world only. And then you start getting observant, you start seeing quirks in the world. Like you guys did. You start waking up. Something's amiss here. Doesn't feel quite right anymore. That this illusion is actually a reality that I must abide by if I have a conscious thought to see a different angle. Big lesson there. Big lesson if you want to take a lessonary in this idea class. So if you always use the arc of your polarized emotions, then you cannot board the circuitry of time. Because circuitry of time is an element in and of itself that advances you through the nows with what you call the experience, listen very closely, of non-polarized emotions. Again, reiterating some of the shit from today's class. Non-polarized emotions. Now let's stay there for a minute, okay? How can you have happy without sad? Because happy is a word that you taught, and you've always opposed it to sad. Good, bad, sometimes evil, depending on the culture. So you can see you're in the consistency of fucking up your life with what you know how to fuck it up. But it's not fucking it up. It's what you get to do because that's the God you know. If you only know the color green, then you're going to call everything green, and you call everything polarized. So how do you take yourself away from polarization? Not to worry about what people are saying, not to react to their actions, not to have a thing of self-view of why am I being judged by them, or why did they say that, or oh my God, or then going off the deep end because you got a synchronicity and you have to masturbate all over yourself because you're an actual fucking God. See, all of that is polarity. How do you leave that world? Well, here's what you do. You become the graceful indifference is one way. The deconstructor using indifference, allowance of the now, and every single time, every single now that you notice a polarized, don't give it 1 ounce of worth, respect, ideology, focus. Leave it the motherfucking alone. No matter what it spits out at you. If you get nutso and start to connect, then that's your reality. It's not the truth. It's your truth. Therefore, you feel that reality. It's worked that way all your life. Let's all look at it together. None of the shit that is ever supposed to happen in time. Motherfucker, let me look around. Each and every one of you are still here, aren't ya? Everybody is still here. all of the fears that you have avoided your life with and said and had to change and took your own idea of fear and made it into a physical model to move and shake you beyond your fucking fears of preventing reality from coming in and wreaking havoc on you. None of it has ever happened. Because it can't. Because it's not a vibrational match. The ones that are victims to crimes, you guys, paralyzations, car accidents, rapes, things like that. If it's happened to you, happened to Roxy, happened to a couple of you, you've been raped, you've been molested by parents, you've all lived this idea, you've been, things of that nature that would be polarized. Well, let's all pretend together that we're all now. And each one of those things is a memory. Isn't it? For those who created that in their reality, is that your reality? See, good and evil sit outside of you. They are created objectively from you. Always. So when you start to deconstruct good, evil, bad with indifference and stop valuing your fucking shitty life and always trying to fix what the fuck is not wrong, panicking when everything in the now is fine, you're letting your emotionals run you. When you stop that, what do you have? Not emptiness. You've never had emptiness. You've never been empty, but you always measure the reality the way you know to measure it. Polarity. But when you start to deconstruct polarity, what do you have? It's unknown, isn't it? Something that you haven't experienced. It is something that sits outside of your mind that's thinking about what the hell is there. Using every conjuring reference points of your theory life, your experiential in theory on what it could possibly be, you can't use that measurement scale because it's not calibrated to the non-polarity field that awaits you. It only is tuned to calibration of polarized worlds. And as long as you play that world, then that's it. That's how it works. So what do we do? Process. What do we do in the hows of time? How do we do this without processing it in a polarity and to give you an object to become better? Because you can't be better than fucking God. Okay, good. So here's what you do. In the practicum of the now, since you guys are intrigued about this and you've called us back because this morning's class is the reason why we're here. Everyone was like, wow, let's play with this field. And that's why we're here. You have created a vibrational match to continue the experience with the collective of mu. So here's what we have to offer in the house. So when you are in a particular now, and you understand that now that you are in, stay in the now. Just not go to travel in time. I want you to sit in that now, and I want you to look at that moment as a reality of now, and I want you to look at that moment as the same thing, but look at it as a memory. You're remembering this moment. Right now, you're remembering this moment. The class is over. You're eating dinner. You're getting ready for bed. You're going out for a drink, depending on your time zone. The class is already over, but you decided to come back while you're having a drink and listen to this part of the conversation that's happening in the now. You're enjoying your red wine. You're sitting down. You lay your head back. You start to muse about the moment. So this moment, everybody, is a memory. And you remember me talking about the memory. You're in both places. You have to be. Because there's no place to be except the here and the now, right? So both places are contained here, and both places are contained now. The separation is distance, details, location created from the now by you. The difference is time squeezes in between these 2 points and gives you a reference of experience. Okay? And that's it. You can't go beyond this yet because you can't think about it. As soon as you habit yourself, as you have always done, to think about how this is going to feel, what it's supposed to be, then you'll take the work and you'll consume it with polarity. Because that's the habit still. It's the habit. It's the habit. It's the habit. Okay? It's what you always do. You always, always have to do that. Don't do that. Be this. Remember we taught you, or not we, but we taught you, let creation pass through you. Let your pain pass through you. Nothing is happening right now. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be, nowhere to escape to. Don't need to do anything. Just keep being the fucking now because you're fine. You may not like it, but if you don't like it, deconstruct what you don't like. If it gives you an emotional content that's spinning your heart and getting your angers up and getting you ruffled, then deconstruct it because that motherfucker is yours to deconstruct. Your vibration has honored you by exposing a limited polarity that is a higher value of truth, unbeknownst to you until that now. So when you feel your irritations, your upsets, there's a difference between preference. If you don't prefer something, it doesn't exteriorate you in any kind of ruffling. You walk away from it. It's you have no accord with it. I need to stay here and fix it. Nothing like that. You're just like, I don't prefer this. Bye. That kind of idea. So you must be the now about this and let emotions of polarized relationships come in. And as those emotions of polarized relations come in, they are then allowed to be what? Allowed to be done, allowed to be passed, allowed to be what they're going to be natural. You don't need to institute a reaction because when you react, what do you do? What do you do? You validate the emotion in that now, which only confirms it as a truth, and your what? Your will of the now, your framework remains steady in the now. Okay? You got to be masters about this, class. Masters. Okay. So, what lies beneath non-polarity? Beneath polarity is non-polarity. That is what you're going to start feeling once you become more and more indifference. The first thing the mind says is that you're cold-hearted. You're a stuck-up bitch. You're an asshole. Whatever. You don't have the same compassion for things. You don't react as normal. You ever watch a detective show? They're always looking for traits in their suspects. And what they look for is normalcy. Well, you are most certainly not going to be normal. You're not going to be the reaction of a human relating to humanity because you consider yourself human. So you've always related to humanity from the beginning of I'm human instead of I'm God. So we're leaving that field and now you're relating to humanity as a God. Okay. But gods don't have polarization. Gods don't have happies and sufferings. Gods have nows, and nows are immeasurable. You got to get used to it by not being what? The victim to emotions, the naysayer of truths, the judges of others, the habits that you were defaulted with. That kind of idea. More and more, you're going to get used to what it is. Janet has a problem with her family. She wants to get the fuck out of the house. Let's get the hell out of the house. We're going to intrude on your idea, Janet. We're going to seep into your intimacy. Of course, you can't stop us because, well, we're one, aren't we? So that intimacy reveals that you have an awareness, a relationship of continuing to measure your reality. Despite everything you've learned in the class, you just can't enact it because you're scared. You won't come to the conclusion that you're scared shitless. This whole brave, ego-filled, nut on my fucking table idea, dick showing world, you guys can do it, come on, fight it, fight it, fight it, has let you grow numb to vulnerability. And vulnerability invites the entire universe. The meek shall inherit the earth. Someone defines you as weak, you accept weak, you're polarized, you're the world of that. Weak and meek, two different worlds. So Janet, you're afraid. You're afraid you don't know where it goes tomorrow. But you keep value of life alive as you have always known it, of time, because you're looking. Where's my escape? Where's my freedom? If you have nowhere to go, your mind's telling you that. You have everywhere to go, anywhere to go. You just won't take the fucking bag and pack it and start walking down the fucking street because you have to have a plan in place because you don't trust your God. You don't like to be in that house. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to lay your head. These people have been abusing you, but you're still looking to escape. So you're using polarity to create a world. That's the key you got to see. You got to be the graceful indifference for this family, and you can still live there until they leave. But you won't think of that because you got to be the escape artist from them because they are abusing you. Yes, they are. If you say that. So you got to leave the whole judgment world that you only know so intimately, so well, that bequeaths you the experience that you have begotten since you got here. The victim of the world. Okay, so the intensities of your experience doesn't change because you value them every time you measure. What did Roxy say to you? What did she say to you? Maybe you can go and maybe Tammy has something, or maybe Tammy knows something. Well, she's 2 hours away and the car thing says, I can't have, my car won't make that. So you immediately just took a big fucking shit on your reality. That's all you do. Not your fault. Master's got to see that I'm not polarized. A master's got to stop and accept the now and look around. Nothing. You can't be that, Janet. This is the results of your polarized world. This is why you are that, because that's all you know. I want to show you what you don't know. But if you keep validating and you just realize it, but you say it anyway, just what the fuck, because you got to get it out. Fine. That's your polarized world. From my standpoint, it's a way to live. That's what you get to do. But we offer a different way to relate to reality. There's no reason to leave where you're at. There's no reason to escape. Because what are you sitting with? Huh? You're sitting with gods. But since they're not in the measurement accord as what is equal to the class, you consider them objects outside of you, Janet. Your husband, he is a god. You don't experience that God because you haven't changed your vibrational relationship with that God. You keep looking at the discernment of he's doing this and you can't get the balls because you're afraid to speak up and say, you know what? No. I'm not going to get a job. I don't give a fuck what you say. I don't care how many times you say it. I'm not going to get a job. It's your move. And go about your nows. So you take the motif of this is not good, so I must leave. This is all polarity, Janet. It's all polarity. It's not a truth. It's not a meaning. It's not an outcome. It's a chosen truth. It's a chosen meaning. And it's a chosen outcome through the filters of your covets. That which you know, that is the extent, the grip, the power of polarity. And it doesn't matter. How do you make it not matter is the question, Janet. By hoping one more time and saying it doesn't matter? Or are you going to take the action in the now, going forward from this moment to not be polarized the best ability? Every now. Take the action of my heart. Because you're still fucking with your mind. And you still want change. But how can you get new versions of people if you don't offer them the light? Well, you don't. Because vibration matches. You become what they always count on you to become, then that world and that moment is the same. And then you drag it over in time because that's your arch enemy of congruency that says this is based on this, so this has to be this. And then you keep everything the same because you validate congruency of time. So that's a real good way to relate. All right, everyone? To polarity. So Janet offers her train wreck of a life up to the table of all of us to say, I don't know what to fucking do. Good is the answer, because there's nothing to do ever until it's presented as your highest act of love for who? Yourself in the now, and that's where you break the stride of polarized. Because you feel good, not happy. Oh, no, 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 no. We're not going to go to Happy Land because Happy Land is a temporary Band-Aid. You guys get there with drugs. You get there with money. You get there only one way, temporary. Because if you define yourself as happy, then the counter is present. And if the counter of polarity is present, then the vibration of haphazard ideas called attraction will occur. Because that's what you know. That is polarized. You don't feel happy. You feel different. A taste of what? Non-polarization. Humanity beyond polarity. That you are a relationship with reality that has nothing attached to it in the now. The only thing that is present is the experience. You cannot give anything else to the now, because that's when you diminish it, because you drag time and all the elements of experience into each now and decorate it. Add the ingredients. I need a little obligation. I need a little respect. I need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then I have the now. All of those vibrations are always present in the moment as a locomotive going down the track. You got to stop that thing. And it's a big, long 5-mile train. So it's going to take a long time, 5 miles, to stop it. Got to slow it down. You got to stop feeding the monster every time you have a bad situation, because bad means good back to this world over and over and over again. There is no bad. There is no good. There is no suffering. You feel the pain. You value the pain. You feel and value the pain. You become the pain. Is it fuck that hurt? Yes. Accept it. In the now. You have this class. Now you're going to stop being that by being the now. The now of what? Indifference. Deconstruction. The value of worth that majestically rises above everything else brings the dragon out of you, and stop putzing around with the idea of this victim. You got to be your worthiness to get here. With that non-polarity, stand by, Jennifer. With that non-polarity, The circuitry of the now allows you to travel. You guys have been traveling in time, but you're bringing time with you. That's why your past, you have what? Regrets and accomplishments. Anyone ever been to a generational, let's say, party? They're a little bit older, maybe a Vietnam vet and coming into Roxy's mind, or something of a group of friends, and they live their glory days with Bruce Springsteen. And you go over what it was, but you never live in the now because you're going to time to bring it into the now because you have no other way to feel good, to get out of your suffering, which is your birthing thing, and you're always needling yourself up. But when you get too much, you back off the gas so you can go right there, mediocrity. I'm safe. Can't have it too bad, but I can't have it too good. Look at me right in the middle. Look how balanced I am. Woohoo, I'm balanced. You're a train wreck. You're a fucking mess. In the world of polarity is where you are existing that way. Leave that world by not valuing the world. And it takes a master of the now. Don't react. Don't cry. Don't scream. Accept, accept, accept. Pass all the pain through you. As a dark ship passes through the night, let it come through you, become reality, and you will feel, I promise each and every one of you, if you allow every now to become indifferent and pass through you, despite what your emotional equation's telling you it hurts like a motherfucker and you need to get your revenge or whatever's happening, in that moment you will feel the non-polarity and it's indescribable. And when you start to feel that, you become now. And more that now, that emotional equation on how you familiar yourself relating to reality, as you've always done, all the billions and billions and quadrillions and emotions beyond what you call polarity. What do you got, like 6, 7 emotions? Huh? You can add a whole bunch, but they're all within the same range, about 6 or 7 ranges, you know, from suffering to that, to an infinite way to experience reality. So you're a hell of a lot more familiar with that than the fractal is a hell of a lot more familiar with this. But who you're going to be, the recognition of the fractal, you must be the God in the moment. So since you are the God, you're relating to your reality godly. And as soon as you add in the elements of fractal, then you are the fractal in that now. One now leads to the now? Never. One and only, every now unique, right? So it doesn't matter what you do or what you will do. The idea is now. So in that circuitry of time, you have access to everything. And you will use these accessible nows to know a dominion. I'm a God, returned. How you use it later after you get it, it's going to be like any other toy. It's fun to play with at first, but after a while you're looking for a new toy. But it's not the sequence of happiness gained. It's the intrigue of exploration fulfilled. There's a big difference. Okay, now Jen.
So happiness in time is imminent suffering.
Eventually it will be imminent suffering. Because you guys have all suffered and you've all been happy. And the cycle repeats.
So happiness non-polarized is not happiness. It's another, it's something.
It's beyond happy.
Right, okay.
It's immeasurable.
Right, so it really is when we sit in that middle part that we're talking about the suffering and the happy, one we're avoiding and the other one we're saying we can't have. And that means resistance on both ends.
Yes.
So by literally being all of it in each now, just accepting it,
Everything.
almost bursts through it and shows us something that we've never, the what that we are.
Well, what it does literally is diminish the vibration that you have valued as polarity and allows the natural to be noticed by the conscious self. It bursts through.
Right, okay. So it's just, I mean, it's a different light. It's our natural. It's what we are that
Yes.
we got. Okay. Thank you. Oh, wait. One last thing. So when we're sorry, my food is beeping. It's okay, leave it. I'm gonna go and get it. When we're in our nows, the now is an experience that.
Well, what else is it?
Right. No, I know. I know that. It's an experience that is, because if we're constantly in our now and everything is a memory, the experience is just bringing up all those memories to have that experience.
Relating to that experience through your emotions. Yes.
Okay.
You attribute the past experience to the detail of the now to give you that. So you conjure up your ways to relate to this particular detail of the now to give you that experience polarized.
So what does an experience non-polarized look like?
I can't tell you, and it doesn't look like it because you're asking a question using a reference mind. I can't use your polarized field. It has to be experienced. If I keep giving you theory, where am I giving you theory from?
Right, right.
Look, what's there is already there. Why you can't see it is because you keep looking in the polarity playground. You're using those as the filters. When you let go of those filters, what's going to be discovered is what's already there. That's why you don't, it's effortless to become a god.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that was good. That was perfect. That was.
What are you having to eat?
I made eggplant parmesan.
Oh my God. Can you send some via fax?
Well, I mean, if you come and live here, I'll cook for you all the time.
Oh, I can live there. I don't know if Roxy will come.
Well, just show up then.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to like the body. I'll show up, but I'll get whatever's accessible.
All right. Surprise me.
Oh, God. Roxy's laughing. She sees the potentials. All right. Circuitry of time. So if I'm now and I'm the future, both are now. Let's accord that together. The distance is the value of you naming the distance. 1802, 2022. Both of these ideas are contained in the now. How you relate to them is future or past. When you become the non-polarized accent of future and past, you become the now, you have the ability to call 2022 into your life, and you allow it to unfold through what you call your imagination. But it's really not your imagination. What it is taking off your blinders and seeing what's there. As you start to see what's there, the non-polarized reality of you being there will make itself known, and then it'll become a more familiar choice to know you are there, and you will be there because you're here. And this is not a physical reality. This is like everything else. It's an illusion. It's a holodeck. It's a dream, whatever you guys want to consider it. This is an experience projected in the now, created by you. So isn't everything else? Yes. So we're going to wedge you out of the congruency of time, and we're doing it by non-polarized attributes. And that will give the natural familiar self returned. With that in place, then what you're going to understand is how you've always been in the now, and you can go anywhere you want to with a whim. The thought that says here, and then you just let it, the world unfold. The conscience travels? No. The conscience is open to the vibration, and that world comes to you and attracts, and then it's built right before your eyes as this world. You can have the experience of traveling if you want that, but it's truly the vibration of attracting the illusion to you that you're actually traveling to achieve a destination. Yeah, we needed that. Mm-hmm. Mm, absolutely. Yeah. Not much else. Anyone else got anything? We would go on to the next adventure.
You said in your opening with your DNA makeup that you contain an emotion that we don't have. What emotion could you reference that would be comparable that we
I
have?
can't. It's a present. I can't. Okay. Do you know what it feels like when you're connected?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be it.
Okay.
It's a relative relationship to connectivity. Knowing you're a God, feeling that isness returned.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dia. Okay? So that relationship that you haven't experienced is what you can gain, but we were birthed with it. So we had, like I said, an easier time understand reality with a more inquisitive approach instead of a lackful approach. Because you guys start dividing yourself from the get-go. You had many tribes, many caves that divided. You guys killed each other ever since you couldn't pick up a stick because you were afraid of your possessions, because you had to grab things to feel your. I grab, I hoard, I am, I become, I get these things that make me feel better. And when I am challenged by another, I see that going away as a dependency, so I shall defend. We didn't have that. So we were more congruent. We were more connected. We had separation. Oh, yeah. But we didn't have the attribute that gave us an immediacy connection, a background knowing. You had it when you were little, but it's quickly diminished. It's long forgotten. It's never gone. But we had it consistently through our life. Yes, Brandy, in a way that is deja vu. Yes, that's the idea behind deja vu. Hang on, Judd. The idea behind deja vu is you catch up to the now in time and you said, I've done this before. Well, yeah, you have. But you actually did it in the now, in the memory. I've done this before. You're remembering that you did it in the now because it's so familiar. Yes, perfect. Yes, Jen.
So we just started coveting the fear because it was all around us. It still is. I mean, that's
What?
just
What? You cut out. You start coveting what?
the fear. We coveted the separation because of the fear, right?
Well, yeah, the fear, but you didn't really call it fear. You were a very young species, obviously, and you didn't understand good and bad until it started to show itself, and then you prevented being eaten by tigers and falling off of cliffs and breaking bones and disease. So these things became fearful and not experiential, where we had the experience of it. Whenever someone died, we didn't care if they died. We were happy they died because we knew they were connected wholly again.
Yeah, yeah.
So don't take what you have from your now and place it on that now. Travel to Cro-Magnon and be a Cro-Magnon. Be a sapient. Be a monolith. Be whatever. And feel how they experienced polarity from their point of view.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You can't think that way, Kristen. To be now is now. You can't help but to be now. What you can do is allow your thoughts and give them no credence of, I don't want to think that way of time anymore, because then you are taking creation and pushing it outside of you and objectifying as something to leave. You cannot divide yourself against anything, nothing. And the results will be a different relationship, Christine, to that idea. You'll be a different relationship to no memory, and you'll be back to the now. but right now you have a memory. It's not a bad thing. It's part of the experience. But once you understand it's part of the experience of non-polarity, you'll never get rid of memory because there's no reason to. Make sense?
I know I'm probably going to get yelled at for this, but
You're not going to get yelled at.
I'm struggling with it. But there's this. So now in non-polarity, you can't describe it. It has to be experienced.
Yes, because it has to be felt. You have to feel what non-polarity, the different texture of life. Okay?
So when I'm in my now, because I'm using time, that's how I'm separating myself from the business of what I am.
You're using time as a relationship of a truth to give you that experience. Once you experience your relationship with time in and of itself becomes different relationship, then that will no longer be true for you.
Right, yeah, okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah, I'm just,
Okay.
I want so badly to know what the non-polarized is, and I'm...
Well, then don't use polarization to get there. Because if I give you anything that's descriptive, then you're only going to use polarization because your approach is polarization.
To just sit and be like a lump on a log and let it come.
It's not a lump on a log. Your mind says it's a lump on a log, and therefore you have the experience of lumping yourself.
Okay. All right. And what do you look like? Now I'm like scared if you're going to come over for dinner.
Oh, I'm not going to be a human in the. I can't show up as a human anymore. I'm more a collective ascended. But I'll find the body that's available I can channel into and come and play.
Okay.
That's all. I'm not going to show up as an alien. We're not aliens. If we have any physical body, we'll create our body. But I don't know if that's. Well, I don't know if that's. Now that we're in time, can we do that? But we're different. We're taller. Huh, we'll play it out. Nancy, you have something?
I do. Can you see me? Because I don't know what happened to my picture.
No, we can't see you.
How do I get that to come back up?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know how I did it. So anyway, you won't see me. If I have tears, that's okay.
Are you on a laptop?
Yeah.
Okay, bottom left corner, do you see the mute button and the start stop video button?
Yep.
Is it clicked? Is it X through it or something?
No X's through either of them.
Okay, so how about the little arrow next to it? Do you click that?
On the stop video or on the mute?
Well, obviously the video, since we're asking about video.
Oh. Select.
And is there some thing there you can click maybe? Roxy has asked.
Rear camera or front camera? I think I'm on the front. I'll try rear camera. You see my... Anyway, while it's circling, I'll start talking, if that's okay.
Okay.
So today something happened at work, and when it happened, I got called into the vice principal's office for being me. And when it happened, when I got there, I'm like, oh, I felt this before.
We lost you, Nance.
Educational technician. I was fired a couple of years ago from a job for being me. And so when it happened today, I was like, well, this is, I've experienced this before, and I really don't like this experience. Like, I didn't get fired. I just got called on the carpet.
Okay, now
So,
let's stop you right there, Nance, because you're getting right into the polarized field.
okay.
You're assessing this experience as something that you don't want. Why? Because it doesn't feel good.
Doesn't feel
Right.
good. No, it doesn't
Right,
feel
so deconstruct that emotion of polarity to experience what it was without you measuring it as something bad, because it's a habit from the past. You just brought up the past and plumped it into the now. Just
Right.
because you were called to the carpet doesn't mean you were called to the carpet. That's what your mind says as the experience, so it can assess it and give you a nice big helping of what you've just created for the emotional equation, your experience.
I've been working on feeling the feeling.
What?
I don't know what's going on with my computer right now. I've been working on feeling the feeling.
Okay, then we'll just keep doing it. You didn't get fired. There were no results. It doesn't matter, because now is all that matters. That's the matter you are, in the now. Everything else is meaningless, but you made it meaningful because you brought it from that now to this now. Your ally of time that you're using as a, let's say, a nemesis, because it happened. No, it didn't. It happened then, but not now. Now is it, so it's not happening, so it didn't happen.
True.
Of course, in the now.
And then now it's just a thing. It's just, I took it as something that was meaningful to me.
Well, yeah, because that's the way you relate to reality. That's your truth, that's your emotion, that's your experience. But that's a polarized field, darling.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll have to think about this one. I'll have to process this one for a while.
No, you don't. See, that's the thinking agenda. That's the thinking mind saying that I'm not, let's say, good enough to understand this because I can't think of an answer right now or how to understand this. So I'm going to just say I'm going to process this for a while. That's a habit. That's a polarized assessor of you. That's your ego covet that's measuring you, the consciousness.
I could see that it was definitely my ego.
Well, yes, because there's no one else doing it.
Right.
The separate does it. The whole doesn't do that. The whole doesn't even recognize itself as anything but itself as is. It doesn't relate back to the self in measurement. So your experience was just that, an experience. Leave it where it is. Keep being yourself. Don't care about what's going to happen or any of your money or any of the results of time and where you're going to work or live or eat. None of that shit, because that's all polarized. You operate in that field, you get that field. You stop being the value of that field. What's left? The unknown, unpolarized now. And you are a master of it. You just got to get there to feel it.
Right.
Like Jennifer's wanting to know. She's seething. I can't do it. Roxy has a hole. You don't know what I'm trying to do, and she has a hole in her teeth. Okay, that was funny. All right, anything else? No? Okay. So the next idea, when we return the rest of this week, there's going to be several ideas. And in the now, you understand the circuitry of time. The reason why we gave you the vessel, non-polarity, because it works. It's the quickest way to familiarize yourself in time to become the relationship with time in and of itself. That's now an approach of an ally. It's an instrument in your reality instead of the ruler of your reality, okay? Because the moment creates time. So, of course, you've all heard the old adage. You can leave late from home and arrive work early, and you just don't know how you get there. It's because in the now, you created yourself 10 minutes early instead of 20 minutes late. But if you value time, rushing, and everything that makes you do that, then of course it's going to be that because you're a God. So that's what you got to understand relating to time, non-polarized. Be the idea, once again, of yourself. The circuitry of time is the spider connections, spider legs from the hole, shoots off in directions. You have these circuitries all over things spawning out of you, and you can use these vessels to get to here, to there, because you're not polarized. So it doesn't mean you can or can't, because that's polarized. It doesn't mean how can I, because that's polarized. So you can't do it. When is it going to happen? That's polarized. Okay, I want that. That's polarized. When you become I am, then the thought occurs, and then it becomes the vibration. There is no effort being a God. The God you are today is the direct relationship with your vibration, your relationship to yourself as a God, what you believe you are, what you're worthy of your being, all this shit like that. Oh, the heart. Well, not the physical heart isn't polarized. When we say the heart, we mean that as the whole of you. But we use that. You with me on that, Brandy? The mind is not the mind either. It's an ego. It's a construct that sits outside of you. The heart would be the whole. But you have the heart as an attribute that has a different familiarity, but it's not finite in permanency. The heart isn't polarized. Nothing is polarized until you make it polarized. So whatever that you is what you would call the polarized. Whether it's a fractal, whether it's an ego, whether it's a self, whether it's a moment, that doesn't matter. Take away polarization, non-polar is built in. That's what surfaces every day. You guys are an experience at every day. I'll tell you when you get that fabulous synchronicity with no effort, like God, it's just mapping like a miracle. I didn't even try and poof. Well, that's the Godship. That's the non-polarity, because you didn't slow it down and place things into it that would have the containment of measure and the element of time to push it along or slow it down or make it an effort, blah, 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 blah. You leave all that shit alone and it shows up out of the now and you fucking can't believe how awesome you are. So don't think too much, because you can't pick this down. These classes are experiential, unique to each moment, each universe in its own decree, each self being in the I am. See, when you move yourself as an idea, let's say, to speak of this in time, to write about it, to archive it, to blog about it, those will be your experiences still one place. Your individual interpretation as you've experienced in the now. The here and the now, that's it. So when you start to put things of permanency in place, Brandy, know that the heart in and of itself is a relationship that each person uniquely understands unto themselves and don't have the same equality of heartness or mind to you. Be your master universe. Get into your world. The manifesto that Michael Kim wrote with the teachings of Steve Jobs, the channeled teachings of Steve Jobs, has offered something that is not finite, Brandy. I would recommend you maybe send that to Brandy so she can experience what it is, Michael. So
Got it.
This manifesto, it's a whole new way to relate. And Michael took the teachings of Steve Jobs on quantum business model and put it into a projection that was referenceable and tangible by the human mind of polarity, but didn't have the remarks of permanency and static. That's the beauty of it. And that was a master work. So yes, it is incredible. So for you to go, the mind is polarized and the heart is not, is polarization in and of itself, Brandy. That's what you have to recognize. Because there is not is and there is not isn't until you create that as the polarized world, because they don't sit anywhere in time as permanent. They're uniquely yours. Okay. As Roxy ascends, she's going to be familiar with what she knows. The interpretations that we come through will be familiar in many aspects. But denote yourself in the commonality, and then, of course, common will take place. Allow yourself to be the experience, and you will start to notice each individual channel has a unique flavor. Be that now to see us in signature instead of in tonal references of common. You'll find it better, deeper, more enlightening, more rich, more fulfilled. But of course, that's also Roxy's own journey as well. But you can see she's released much since you guys met her. whether you got here in the now or you're a memory of 2 years ago. That's all we have today. We're going to speak of artistry tomorrow in some fashion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Nancy got her camera working. All right, everyone, we're going to depart. We love you. Thank you. Mwah.